Chapter 66 The Lake. Behind the lake, under the white amman, was a pavilion. 5 or 6 girls were sitting inside. Some were eating fruits, looking at the other side of the lake, covering their mouths and laughing at something. Some were frowning and putting up their brushes to think of something. Looking at the dress of these women, they were either rich or noble, thinking that all of them were the young ladies of the families of the officials and eunuchs in Kyoto. One of the girls wearing a light yellow tight little vest, her eyes were unusually bright, like translucent West Sea jade. It was the Yilinger that Fan Xian had glanced at from afar outside of Kyoto, the only daughter of the Kyoto guard. Yilinger's gaze swept towards the lake, turned her head to look at Fan Ruo and asked, Ruo, that unseemly one of your family, did he come today as well? Fan Ruo heard this. The heart of the nameless fire will be in the hands of the brush heavily rested on the case, faintly said, Yilinger, usually you this mouth is like your family those knives and guns. Some edges and corners of it, and today is from which sauce workshop back, died so some smells. Pavilion all the women heard this voice, brush all quiet down, who cannot be expected to brocade mouth embroidered heart, gentle incomparable Miss Fan actually also have such a time to talk. Yilinger heart because of a certain reason, the bastard of the fan house is very disgusted, so the previous speech will be so rude. At this time to see has always been a gentle fan family Miss speaks so mean to herself, grunted 2 times, the anger on the heart, but for a moment cannot find the words to counterattack back. County Princess Zojia is grinding ink beside Fan Roro, listening to the conversation between the 2 girls. A cheeky smile, naively said, You 2 are usually very good, how today is like eating sulfurous stones in general. Zojia County Princess and these girls, the youngest, the identity of the most noble, bias is the most gentle temperament, so she spoke, but let the aura in the 2 a moment not good to attack again. Yilinger said with a cold snort, Who knows how Miss Fan is today? Fan Roro slightly smile, hold back anger, long eyelashes a shake, although the official family woman, and Fan Roro known as a talented woman, but in the final analysis, but some 2-8 years of youthful women, who can hold back how much heart? Gently responded, the language involves elder brother, little sister naturally does not dare to be rude. Yilinger laughed coldly, where am I being rude? Could it be that the one who came with you today has already recognized his ancestor and is on the Fan clan's genealogy? Fan Roro was smart. Of course she knew what Yilinger was angry at her brother for. She smiled coldly and didn't answer. She only walked towards the outside of the pavilion, and for some reason, Yilinger also followed her up. Rugia County Princess softly a sound, but do not know what to do. The pavilion between the women also do not know. Yilinger said that person is who, not to mention do not know why the 2 suddenly angry, cannot help but be confused. Outside the pavilion, the maids didn't follow up. Fan Roro also spoke much more directly. Her face sank and said, You befriended Miss Lin family, that's your thing. She's not willing to marry my brother, that's her thing, but if you're not nice to my brother again, I'll no longer care about the past love. Yilinger wrinkled the tip of her nose extremely well, complained, Yesterday you came to my mansion, I said with you, Chenner is not willing to marry your brother, I want you to go back to the house to say, who knows you still bring him to the county king's mansion today. Don't think that I don't know what thoughts your family stored, I'm afraid that it is just wanting to take the opportunity to grab some fame at this poetry meeting, so that for the... She stopped talking and waved her sleeve in annoyance. Fan Roro see her look, heart size, realized that these young ladies see things as brother said, pure to the extreme, said, Who do you want me to talk to? Lord father or brother? You also know very well that in a family like ours, it's even more unlikely that the marriage will be decided by us. Yilinger bit her lower lip and said with a hint of expectation, Otherwise, let your brother leave Kyoto. Fan Ruo frowned and looked at her, realizing that the other party's speech was really a bit ridiculous and laughable, but where did she think that she might have been influenced by Fan Xian, so she appeared to be a lot more mature, but the other party was still the same aristocratic young girl who didn't know about the hardships of the world, say less of these dim words. Yilinger looked at her and laughed coldly, What is the status of that brother of yours? And what is the status of my sister Lin? Fan Ruo smiled, My brother has a father and no mother. Your sister Lin has no father and no mother. What is her status? It's still this status. Although that Miss Lin family is said to be the Prime Minister's illegitimate daughter, the Prime Minister is afraid to recognize her, can't recognize her, and as for her mother, it's a secret that the country of Qing dares to know but dares not to say, so to say that she's fatherless and motherless is not wrong. Yi Linger seems to have never thought that Fan Ru smile under the words, actually so harsh, angry lips slightly trembling, lowered his voice viciously said, "You think this marriage is finalized? Who knows what will happen in the future?" Fan Ruo's heart was slightly austere, but her face was still full of gentle smiles. She only took a step forward, drawing closer to Yi Linger, but responded with a sense of oppression, "You may not be very clear about my elder brother, but I advise you not to do anything unseemly, and as for this marriage, I don't think it's settled either. Perhaps my brother may have fled Kyoto right away after seeing that Lin family lady you're so bent on pitying." Although Yi Linger had a family heirloom martial arts cultivation, but in front of this civilized and weak woman, her aura was gradually lowered. "Just by your brother, how dare you pick on Chinner?" Fan Ruo sighed, her demeanor resembling the flavor that Fan Xian would display at certain times, and said, "I just don't understand. This is a matter between the Fan family and her family. What are you in such a hurry for?" Yi Linger thought for a moment and lowered her stance and said softly, "You also know that the Lin family's sister isn't in very good health, so if that's the case, why should you go against her wishes and make her marry someone she doesn't want to marry?" These words are considered to have hit the tip of Fan Ruo's heart. Which young girl is not good at harboring spring? Which girl does not want to marry the person she wants to marry? Putting her heart in the right place, Fan Ruo also knew that that Lin family young lady who was incapable of grasping her own love was indeed a bit pitiful, but this matter is firstly decided by the adults, and secondly by my brother's opinion, and there is nothing I can do about it, Miss Yi. She smiled and responded with the last sentence. At this time, Sheriff Rugia finally worried about the conflict between them and came out of the pavilion to look for them. Seeing that they seemed to be okay, she couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief and said sweetly, "Go back." Fan Ruo suddenly had a nimbus in her eyes and said softly, "Miss Yi, I heard that your friend is not well. It just so happens that my father knows a famous doctor. I wonder if it would be convenient to go to that young lady's residence to take a look."